On this episode of Negative Modifier, we'll be playing the game Deltagreen. Deltagreen is a mature tabletop RPG that tackles various dark and unsettling themes and topics that some listeners may find traumatizing, harmful, or generally uncomfortable. Listener discretion is advised. Hello and welcome to the, I probably wound up calling this The Goat Must Burn, but if I didn't wind up naming it that was the working title I had. We were playing it post-show, and before we kind of get into this, I want to put a little time capsule on this. We started playing this goddamn operation back in like December of 2024. We are recording this in April of 2025. I thought this shit was going to be like 3 play sessions, maybe. Like I've run this thing as several one-shots. Yes, Chad, I know. I should never underestimate your three's ability to turn. Oh, it's a quick operation. What could happen to? Well, I've never had to do this part of it before.
To be fair, the first 7 days of 2025 had a lot going on.
It's true. But yes, if you're sitting there wondering where the hell were the episodes in the first quarter of 2025, here, they were here. We were supposed to do other stuff. We had other plans. I had other stuff written for us to play and stuff like that. And we were doing a Christmas thing. I was going to put in a time capsule till the end of 2025. And now I'm probably going to have to start this in like November to have all the episodes come out by the end of the year, if not sooner, which is insane. But I digress. Welcome. I'm obviously Charlie, Dylan, Chad, Alex. They're all here too.
Woody woo.
I had a blast. Let me tell you that. I had a blast playing this game.
My mockery is not meant to be a comment on the operation, more of I'm like, yeah, this will be like 1 or 2 sessions in, out. Like, I've run this operation before for people and never had them actually solve the mystery of the island ever. It was always just like, oh yeah, we find a sniper spot, we burn the goat, bing, bang, boom, done. Someone's got to go back next year.
See, okay, now knowing the fact that we solved the mystery of the island, I feel like it is justified as to the meticulous craft.
Yeah.
The meticulous plans that we had crafted all along the way. At no point in time were we just fucking winging it. Everything was premeditated.
No, it was not. We both know that.
Oh yeah, no. Totally meditated or premeditated, planned way ahead of time, like truly a well planned out op.
Look, I truly meant to do that.
The only thing I can say that we are unique to that I know because you said, Charlie, is that most of us were not infected for most of that operation.
Yeah, this is the... so I've run this operation, I said a few times. This is the first time that the majority of agents were not infected with Wassel or worst. This is the first time something's made a pact with like, oh yeah, fuck it, sorry about that. If this is your first episode of Negative Modifier, don't listen to this one. This is a post show. We are going to talk about our most recent operation, our holiday season Christmas operation, whatever the hell you want to call it. This is not a good first episode. It's full of spoilers and other stuff. We're going to reference everything else we've played up to this date. Go listen to Lover in the Ice or something else like that. It's much better introductions to this. So you can go back to the start and start from there. You can start with J-Cell. You can start with God, what the hell was that second long Deltagreen thing we did called? I'm blanking on the name of. Yeah,
Hawthorne's Crusade.
Just don't start with this episode. Which one was it, Dylan?
The second one was Hawthorne's Crusade, right?
Yes, Hawthorne's Crusade. It's a good one to start with. Yeah, don't start with this episode. This is meant for people that have been listening all along, and it's full of spoilers. But also, if you want to hear about an operation I wrote in detail that was me being mad about midnight mass and a couple other things simultaneously, welcome to the post show for The Goat Must Burn. It's going to be a weird one because I've never had a group go through as much of this operation ever, and in such a fashion, I might add.
We like a side quest. I
equate your progression specifically, Jad, as someone like, it's like the nemesis from Resident Evil grabbed Sanguine by the face and threw him through several windows, and he just landed in a safe room and was like, haha, I meant to do that.
Yeah, I will say that, Jad, you being infected made that the final stretch of that operation much more intense.
Oh, yeah. For sure. honestly, like, I was like, I don't think Chad's gonna make it. It's looking pretty bad.
At some point in time, I realized like my infection was going to be the engine in which I drive through this plot. And that is what carried me. I had the disability of dealing with a possession, but I did have basically an onboard computer telling me, hey, this is how we're going to progress throughout the next game, or throughout the rest of this game.
Yeah, you basically had gameplay tips turned on for the campaign.
For a price.
It's also there was a pact involved or something.
Yeah. Maybe we should start at the beginning as to explain.
Yeah,
like,
that's not a bad point.
Yeah.
Let's let Dylan finish first. Then, yeah, we should definitely start at the beginning of this nightmare.
I was just going to say that I thought, again, Jad, we were going to have to kill another one of your characters. In the end, you know, he did die, but we didn't do it.
It's true.
Like, there was a moment where I thought to myself, like, oh, okay, cool. We'll get to the ending when we get to the ending. But yeah, I was wondering, I was like, this is very Midnight Mass.
Yeah, so for the record, I like Midnight Mass a lot. I think it's great. I think it is one of my favorite kind of reimagining of vampires, despite the fact that the entire show only works because apparently no vampire media exists in that setting at all, which on one hand I can believe, on the other hand I'm like, no, that's just kind of a little bit stupid. Most of this was driven by the fact that after I think it's the first episode or two, I thought it was a Deep One show, and then it turned out to be a vampire thing, a really good vampire thing. But it left me with a bad taste in my mouth because I was convinced it was a fucking Deep One show for a while. And I was so excited for that. And I was like, I'm going to write my own Deep One show now with out-of-place sheriffs and a church and a cult and nothing you fuckers could do to stop me. And I think at the same time this was happening, I was kind of like, I was reading a bunch of deltagreen kind of fan-made Christmas stuff, and they all took the Christmas stuff of it too literally. And as someone who like finds great entertainment in the absolutely bizarre pagan stuff that we think of as just normal Christmas stuff, I'm like, okay, there's something here I can work with. And also as someone who every year watches the, for those who don't know, this is very much modeled off of, there's a town in, I think it's Norway or Sweden, I can't remember which one it is, that they literally build a giant wicker wooden goat every year. And for years, the goat was a victim of vandalism. And the vandalism started off with people just doing normal kind of like shitty vandalism thing, but escalated to people like shooting flaming arrows from across the town to hit this thing. And this is not me trying to say that was good and cool and whatnot, but like the levels people were going to commit these petty acts of vandalism is something that's stuck with me for years. I'm just like, damn, that's kind of fascinating. And there was an internet thing where like the years where the goat was successfully burned were overall pretty good years for the world type of thing. And the years the goat didn't burn were kind of bad years, it turned out. There was a kind of running joke of like, well, the goat has to burn. Like, it's for the good of the world, we have to burn this goat down. And yeah, that was playing in the back of my brain as I started putting this thing together. Obviously didn't want it becoming a Deep One thing, but I love the idea of kind of this town that is dying, that's kind of going under slowly and being kind of falling apart some, essentially having kind of a patron old one entity thing that's like keeping their town going, but like at a shockingly high cost, that because they're using this Christmas event that's definitely actually just a secret pagan ritual happening to conduct a bit of a mass sacrifice, and they keep the town going on the pact that like, okay, we'll get it right next year. But yeah, that's kind of the basics of the goat must burn.
To be fair, in regards to Midnight Mass working, especially in hyper-religious groups, of which I ended up growing up in, I remember at some point in time, other than like Pokemon cards were just like symbols of Satan, there was things where my parents were criticized for letting me watch Barney because Barney used magic and therefore he was evil. So if there is an absence of certain like literature or references, absolutely that's something that you could really dive into in terms of like religious zeal.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Again, not a major criticism of the show, just one of those things that bugs me to this day where I'm like, can I give this one a pass for a variety of reasons? Yeah. At the time, it was more me being like, I wanted this to be a deep one show so badly. It's not a deep one show, and that makes me angry. It's a really good vampire show, but I want it to be a deep one show.
I thought we were going to be meeting like big ass deep ones in this scenario.
I'm not sure where, when I was initially writing this, I wrote this, God, pretty close to 5-6 years ago now at this point. Like, the idea for it was, it started off as a deep one thing that slowly kind of morphed into a Shug thing over time, or a Black Go to the Woods type thing with 1,000 Young. I'm not sure when it became a her thing, and it's technically not, because I'm still to this day not totally sure what's in the bottom of the lake, actually. Like, I think it's one of those ones where kind of like, if the ritual goes through, it's a fun kind of like something rises up, then you cut to black because unimaginable horror just came out of a hole in the middle of an island type of thing. And yeah, I was kind of pictured as almost like a giant like tentacle sea star thing or something like that. Not really a goat thing for some reason, but that's unimportant for whatever reason.
All right. Right.
I think this was also back when I wrote this thing originally also when I was trying to kind of understand how to write cults, and again, like taking inspiration from Midnight Mass, the idea that like you had a shockingly high percentage of the town just kind of cooled the number of people that got killed and eaten and stuff like that because it was for the good of the town. I'm like, okay, you have a bunch of people that like don't want to accept the fact that like their little town in the middle of the lake is failing. Like, it's time has passed it by. And the only thing keeping it going on right now is this fact they have this kind of big idyllic signature Christmas event thing that like, yeah, it works. It's not supposed to be this, but it's like, it's providing a source of tourism that like you don't have the rest of the year type of thing. And like, if without this thing, this town would have died long ago now. And I guess growing up in a place that like lived and died off of ski season being a thing, that resonated with me some. So it's kind of fun to play around with this, where it's like, hey, we make the majority of our money in a 4-week period. But yeah, how do you want to work through this, I guess? Because it's kind of, this was more of a sandbox type of thing you got to explore some. We just kind of want to walk through the events as they unrolled, or?
Yeah, why don't we do that?
Yeah, we can do that.
I really just want to first start off, Charlie, with your expectations, how did you think we were going to start this operation?
So, because of how this thing works, there's a couple, I guess, triggers that go off, I guess is the way of thinking of it. In my mind, the critical path that you go through on this thing is you get to the island, you maybe get infected with wassail, maybe you don't. There's plenty of kind of signatures that, like, maybe you shouldn't drink this stuff. I've had groups that just didn't drink it because they, quote, didn't drink on duty and stuff like that. So that was never a factor. And they kind of kept having, like, it was kind of peer pressured on them the entire time. It was like, hey, loosen up, have some fun. And they never kind of understood the fact that the wassail was actually a extension of kind of the weird going on at the time. But the critical path, I think it is that you investigate Rebecca's death, and that kind of leads you to the journal, which then leads you to the locker. So then you get that kind of stuff. You get the journal from the locker, so you know the island is booby-trapped, and hey, it's this frail old woman that no one kind of saw how the fuck she was going to the island. If you'd spent, like, so you have as much time as you have. I think I gave you like 5 days at the start of this. You have time to spend some time going through the journal in theory and stuff like that. And if you go through that, so you found it by accident, there's a boat down on the dock you can just, or down kind of by the island stashed, that you can just go and row across the island and kind of do it from that. Like, you can basically kind of approach that whole part of the operation the way an old woman would kind of have to, type of thing, where it's like, hey, yeah, she's been doing this for a little while. She has stashes all over the place. You can kind of follow in her footsteps. And that's how most times I've run this, it plays out. People investigate her death pretty aggressively. And you can also then pick up on kind of like, hey, there's some weird going on the island. There's a bunch of like history. There are these kind of central families that have really run things for a long time. And they're kind of oddly kind of hostile to outsiders. You can also get like, you can pick up on the fact that one of the families, like, this place existed and it was not doing so great for a long time. And then the Nords were the last family to show up in the early 1950s. Was kind of when they had a big 1940s, 1950s, when they have a big mass migration up from that. I'm going to let you fill in why that might have happened. And that's when kind of the weird witchcraft stuff kicks off in a major way. But yeah, it's kind of possible, I guess, to kind of lead to the cult angle of things. Honestly, things were going great for y'all up until you triggered a booby trap, and then the entire island's on high alert. And at that point, it's kind of, this is a very different operation at that point.
The way you thought that out and the way that it actually panned out, I felt like I feel like, wow, we just really went off-roading from the get-go.
It's one of those ones where kind of like you spent, I always work a character that's supposed to be kind of a, hey, either I'm going to TPK or I'm going to kill one character. And in this case, like, yeah, have the sheriff be the, if a player dies at a reasonable time in the operation to slot him in, like, he gets to be slotted in with the knowledge where he's like, yeah, I've just taken over this weird job. And like, one of the things I got told as part of taking over the job is that like the safety of the island is a lie. There's a lot of information that suggests that a lot of people have gone missing in connection to this kind of festival thing we do every year. And you engage with him more directly than most people do because I guess in my experience, most deltagreen groups are like, okay, we can't involve law enforcement because they're going to ask a bunch of questions. And then we had Dylan's approach, which was, no, we're going to implicate law enforcement in this and make it so we can't get out of it. It has to be part of it now.
Yeah. I guess question, Charlie, what do you think you were most surprised about with our run through the op?
I think when the split happened, and it was less surprised and more the fact that like I was jumping back and forth pretty aggressively to make sure that like there was a chance you wouldn't kill yourself by accident on the island, but at the same, because I didn't have two characters to slot in easily, and also kind of like, hey, we've booby trapped an obvious objective you're supposed to get to, is totally a dick GM move, regardless of the fact that there's a clue not that hidden you could have gone down and checked out. There would have been like, hey, this thing's fucking booby trapped, be aware type of thing. And I think in that case, it was more like watching you play out, hey, we're going to investigate this thing, and me bouncing back and forth and being like, okay, like I have to let these both run simultaneously. It's like, is Dylan gonna make it? I've never had this happen before where it's like, hey, yeah, the cell phone mechanic is fucked up right now because of how the island works and stuff like that. Like it's kind of cut off from the outside world. There's a real chance we're going to have Dylan finds the book, finds out, oh, by the way, this thing's booby trapped, and Alex and Jad are dead.
You know, if you think about like the scenes playing out side by side, that's how it would like play out in a TV show or a movie.
Yeah.
Where you find the booby trap and you're calling them like, oh God.
No, and I will admit that kind of for the sake of podcasting and also just when we split a party, I try and bounce back and forth to keep the tension up for all players. I was definitely playing it from that angle. It's like, yeah, this is a cool, interesting thing to run parallel, especially when, hey, you stick your hand in and you feel a click. Hey, Dylan, what are you up to?
Let's go drive to the docks.
Yeah.
Like, damn, you really just let it stew in that. The introduction of like the village, the event, the CD mayor. I love a CD mayor. I love the fact that there was just someone who from the get-go was like, all right, cool. We have like a very specific like suspect and everything else like that.
Yeah, that's interesting you bring that up. So I also enjoy a kind of like CD local politician. There is a version of this I have run where Thomas Red doesn't know what the hell's going on.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I've run a couple of this where like he's aware there's some weirdness is going on, but he's not like fully aware what's going on. I obviously did not go that approach with this one because I don't think it runs quite as well. But I've had a group that was like, he has to know. And he's like, yeah, my wife sure gets up to some weird stuff every once in a while, but I support her. And it's like, are you an idiot? It's just like the greatest bluff ever. I don't know. But yeah, I think it runs better when he is aware, kind of like, yeah, there's a cult and I'm definitely part of it, et cetera, et cetera. I'm a major part of it. But like, there is a version of this that I have run where it's the kind of outline I have for how this works is that you have the 4 families, and the only ones that really have to be part of it 5 families that have to kind of like, that are always kind of, I guess, part of the cult are the Haltons and the Nords. And the Nords specifically because they are the ones that kind of brought the old ways to the island.
I will say I feel very lucky that I convinced myself not to go to the art commune by myself.
So that's the funniest part. You can go there and it's totally fine. Right, we didn't get into this. So
it was because I was fucking like absolutely fucked up, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, so the person who you talked to on the radio that was Amanda. That was the person at the compound that you killed. Sorry, Alina, my bad, not Amanda. Yeah, so something you so one of the kind of details you never got into is the fact that the way the magic that works that this kind of cult deals with is it puts you into kind of a sing-songy high state. So a thing you can start doing is looking for people that are acting weird and kind of high and kind of like they're in a psychedelic trance or something like that. Like the way the magic works is that you kind of open your brain up to the cosmos, and she is perfectly normal when she's not channeling the magic. But because you showed up and she was channeling the magic because she knew you were coming, she's weird.
I did find it so funny that I just had an excuse, an opportunity to just start throwing in lines from Midsummer Night's Dream.
Once I figured out what you were going for, I'm like, hell yes, this is exactly what I'm going for. This is kind of the strange, not quite otherworldly, sing-songy, like we're speaking in poetry stuff. It reminded me of my theater days. But yes, like it's supposed to be very evocative of that kind of style of magic, I guess, is the way I was approaching them, where it's like, is this witchcraft or are you just a theater kid?
I was going in with I'm just going to ignore all the warning signs and just play up the fact that we are in an art commune and I'm quoting a very famous, like, Shakespeare play. So, yeah, you got to have understood that sort of thing. I felt like I was not at a lot. Or sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, like, you were safe right up until you weren't. And it's actually an interesting time to talk about this. So, like, maybe it's luck. Maybe y'all are just good deltagreen agents at this point. No, this one was definitely luck because Chad did not know what the hell was going on this one and kind of won the POW check. That fight is a lot harder if you don't damage the kind of long haul before you get into the fight.
That's nice to hear.
Yeah, so the mechanic you managed to totally bypass is, remember that whole like pit of like a bloodstain I made a big deal of in the middle of the kind of the long haul thing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She'll keep respawning through that indefinitely if you damage the long haul.
If you don't damage the long haul?
Yeah, you have to light the place on fire or kind of do something to damage the energies of the place to stop her from crawling out of that thing indefinitely. And it's a pretty quick cooldown.
I'll be honest. It really feels like we kind of fumbled our way into dismantling the cult, which is I love.
I was gonna say, like, I feel like this was one of the, especially with the sandbox sort of situation. I'm not really good with sandboxes sometimes. I felt like I stumbled ass backwards into just solutions. Like all my math work was absolutely incorrect, but I somehow came out with the right answer.
And that's sometimes how this works. Like, and there's some stuff you kind of missed, and there's some stuff that, like, it's fascinating because in theory, a lot of times I've run this, like, the cult never gets touched, and, like, you burn down the go at the right time. Yeah, the cult's frustrated. It's like, oh, there's always next year. Like, so there's actually 3 things you have to do to solve the operation, essentially. It's obviously burn down the goat and stop the ritual. It's kill Alina, specifically because she's the one that makes the damn thing, and you have to deal with the spell book.
You know, the very end of that operation felt like we knew what we were doing. Not because we knew what we were doing, but because there were just a bunch of crits back to back.
Yeah. And in your defense, too, it was one of those ones where it was a perfect example of, like, operation failed successfully, where it's like, no one figured out the importance of the spell book, but hey, it's a fucking spell book. We're going to grab it and deal with it later type of thing. We don't know what's going on with this weird witch lady, but she's got to die because witch lady.
Yeah. I think, like, to the credit of the op, Spark, especially with the constant crits on sand rolls with all the crazy shit, didn't want to know what was going on. Was just happy to know that, you know, we were on the right path.
And I guess kind of like put yourself in this imaginary situation where, like, think about how much the op changed because Sanguine got infected. Like, it basically confirms, okay, yeah, there's something at play here.
And very quickly, too, to be able to see, like, in my brain, when I was asking the sheriff about, like, Amanda's death, all the details of it, it felt like that lead was a wash, and that's where I felt like, okay, cool. We're gonna need to figure something else out because I don't know what else to do with that sort of thing.
In Rebecca, right?
Sorry, thank you, Rebecca. Rebecca just felt like a wash, and so I was like, well, I think that's a red herring, so I'm gonna point my directions completely somewhere else.
It's one of those things where kind of like Sheriff Musaf is bad at his job. Like, it's a little detail where it's like, no, he's kind of willing to go with the flow of this because he feels immense pressure to just go with the flow of this, and he's kind of bad at his job. He also has no experience being a sheriff to this previously. I think we got into this, but I'm not sure we got into this in great detail. He used to be a park ranger, and he took the job because it was a recent vacancy, and like it was new, and it's like, hey, I'll take this job. It's a new thing to try and take. Like, I'll get to live in a new place, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, he's not great at the job, actually. Like, to the point where he's like, yeah, there was a murder or a death. Oh, it was an old woman. Oh, well, a bunch of the weird stuff going on here, like all the disappearances that no one ever talks about. Maybe I invented or just are bad accidents. Yeah, I guess that's actually an interesting thing you didn't get into. You can find out about the disappearances through kind of other means, and they're all kind of explainable away as like, yeah, tragic accidents. Drunk people do dumb shit, like falling out of ferry boats and stuff like that into the cold, freezing water.
Yeah, I want to know like how differently the op would have played out if we hadn't gotten lucky in figuring out that the wassail was bad, basically right off the get-go.
Basically, two things happen. One, you either don't have kind of like, okay, there's definitely something going on, or two, you have me the entire time saying, basically, why are you being paranoid about that? Like, it basically kind of, I think we kind of got into it some, it puts you kind of in a state of ease, and it dulls your paranoia is the way I kind of play it typically, where it's like, because this is technically a Christmas opera, holiday opera, whatever you want to call it, it leans into kind of very heavily the whole like Christmas cheer aspect of it. Like, it's a fake, oh, just be happy and enjoy the lights and ignore the fact that like something kind of sinister is happening. Like, I mean, this may be kind of a very personal thing to me, but like where I grew up, Christmas was like, yeah, it's this big deal, but also like you got to find out whose uncles were alcoholics as part of that holiday too. And it's kind of this idea where it's like, oh no, we're going to ignore the kind of like bad stuff going on because we're all drunk on this one kind of thing. But like, it's, I guess I kind of, let's do the thought experiment of trying to think of it this way. If you hadn't figured out that, hey, this wassail is not just kind of like a potion, but kind of alive, how would you have approached the rest of the op?
Yeah, I think it's funny that you say that sometimes people don't drink because they don't like drink on duty. And you found a way around that because I had said that. They're like, oh, we have non-alcoholic wassail if you want to try it. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I don't know why I wouldn't at that point.
That's an adaptation I came up with because of an entire group being like, oh, we're on duty, we don't drink. And I'm like, God damn it, I forgot some people have scruples.
That is actually really interesting because I wouldn't have thought to do that whole like, well, here's a non-alcoholic version. It's slightly less possessed.
As someone who plays degenerate characters, I have to remind myself that occasionally it's like, oh, right, most deltagreen agents aren't self-medicating constantly and would be like, fucking free booze? Yes. Some of them would be like, okay, I'm on a deltagreen operation. Maybe I shouldn't be like half a six-pack deep at all times.
Yeah, why mitigate it when you can raw dog your demons?
Yeah.
You can tell like an op is good with how quickly PvP was initiated because I'm pretty sure we like
we had a WWE match because I'm pretty sure I threw a fucking chair.
Yeah,
at Jed.
Yep.
All I can think about was that fucking meme of just Bernie running past or Bernie with the chair.
My God, it's Money in the Bank, Bernie Sanders. Oh yeah.
But yeah, when the wassail kind of became so prevalent and like the infection started hitting and I was able to just kind of like not even myself but everyone else just epicact my way out, like that was when I was like, all right, cool, I feel like we definitely now have a focus, and I think that's what really just kind of led us into the most meandering way to really get down to the nitty-gritty.
No, and I enjoyed the path through it too, where kind of it became this like, okay, we're gonna hyper fixate on this wassail thing, and I'm like, that's not a bad thing to hyperfixate on. it's the least of your troubles.
I love like when you're describing, it's like, oh, and then you have a couple days with the book. Like we had 20 minutes. We had like 3 hours.
I mean, to be fair, you like murdered some people, burned down an artist compound, blew up a historic lighthouse. Like the stealth aspect of this was not a big thing.
The historic lighthouse blew itself up.
It's true. It really did.
But yeah, no, the initiation of PvP, I was like, well, it's always me. I feel like somehow at some point in time, one of my characters is just going to get real surly.
We'll get to hit one of Dylan's characters with a ladder one of these days.
Come at me.
You're going to roll a crit, get rid of the coworker that you just found the most annoying.
I mean, I relatively recently ran a last things last for a new group that someone fumbled their way into shooting another agent because they were engaged in combat.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Look, I think the most likely person from T cell to get, or S cell rather, to get unruly and maybe initiate PvP because of some sanity stuff is probably Agent Star. And Agent Star is like bad at everything except for fighting.
Yeah, imagine Agent Star in this operation.
Yeah, Star is the one who drinks the wassail and becomes possessed. I mean, he'd actually have been great for the crossbow shot.
Yeah. No, so, and that's actually kind of an interesting you're getting into. So the idea for this operation is kind of when I was coming up with is the idea that like there are some operations that are very much geared towards, hey, this type of thing definitely favored. It's one of the, yeah, this one definitely favors investigators right up until the end when you have to solve it. And then like the easiest solution is this super long shot. And it's a super easy solution, except if the ritual's going, except if it's a really long shot. Like it's one of the things where it's like, oh yeah, you can have a bunch of super skilled people that are good at kind of getting you to that point, but then, oh crap, none of us can snipe. God damn it.
None of us can snipe, but we're all scrappy.
But we're going to try.
Get it done.
None of us are particularly hitters, but when it comes down to it, we crush eyeballs and cut heads off.
Oh yeah, my fucking execution with that was highlight for me.
Yeah, I guess like kind of bouncing around some. The trying to snipe that thing, the -40 I was giving you was because like the ritual was in full swing. Our sorceress was in kind of full swing, actively protecting the goat. Like every possible, okay, here's the bad things that can add up to make this final kind of encounter hard was turned on, basically.
So I'm assuming if we had lit the goat on fire early enough into the ritual, it basically would have failed, right?
Yeah, so there's a couple things of how it works. If you light the goat too early, they just build another goat. Like you have to kind of light it within the day, the kind of the night before or the day before type of thing, so you don't have time to remake it. There's also a version of beating this where you kind of light the goat on fire early and then evacuate the island because they need the 12 sacrifices inside the goat for it to work. There's a bunch of ways of kind of finishing early but getting done. A lot of times people just kind of hang out and wait for the final night and then burn it ahead of time. So because you kind of gave them the alert and they were kind of prepared for it, there's an extra mechanic in the background where because it was so early, there's no guarantee the ritual actually works the way it's supposed to. But I didn't have to kind of go into the chart I made for that to figure that one out. But yeah, so the mechanism you had is you have to go on fire. You have to basically stop the bell from doing the kind of build up to 12 before it runs out type of thing. So if the goat burns down before you get to the kind of 12 with the bell, you're good. Just because you light the goat on fire early but don't deal with the bell, it's still possible for them to complete the ritual and have it go type of thing. So it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, you can stop the bell, but also like some jackass can get there with a hammer and start hitting the side of it and still make the ritual work. It's just not working as intended. There's a bunch of parts you kind of have to eliminate. Like arguably the sorceress is the least important part of it because she's just there to be a threat and dangerous. Like you can kill her and it doesn't super matter.
Yeah, so if say we killed the lady up at the art commune like we did and then burned the goat and they hadn't realized like what was going on, they wouldn't have been able to remake it, right?
No. So there's two people that can make the goat. So Samantha Red, Thomas's wife, the person that's kind of the head sorceress of all of this. If you so remember back when I was talking about the book, the whole signing the names of the book?
Yeah.
The two most recent names are Samantha Halton and Alina Nord. Samantha Red used to be a Halton. There's a whole thing you can dig into that if you kind of look into kind of the family histories of Allen and stuff like that. She can also make the goat. There's two kind of fail safes to stop you from just killing the artist and then making the goat type of thing. If you kill the artist, destroy or take the book, that also solves it though too. They have to have the book there to kind of be able to pull the whole thing off, or to be able to make the goat, basically.
All right.
Did Jad get got by the spell that does a d20 of damage?
Yes, he did. And so that's the other thing. Both Alina and Samantha can cast Withering on touch.
That's terrifying.
Yes.
You hit hard crit me with that because it was 11 points of damage.
Yeah.
And I only had 4 at that time.
Yep.
Well, that was real rough.
Jad, every single time Withering has come up in this campaign, it's been you who's been hit by it.
Oh yeah, that's right, because fucking Father Faustus got fucking withered to
Yeah.
hell.
During the Century Club, yeah.
And that's why he was just like, my god is dead.
What do you mean magic's real and painful? I mean, Spark almost got withered too. Alina just couldn't get the juice up for it.
Yeah. That's true.
So, to be fair, rewind back to Alina. She can cast Wither on touch. That's why she kept trying to touch you type of thing. And if you kill her the next round, she crawls out of the blood pool in the longhouse indefinitely. Imagine how that fight plays out.
See, the thing is that even though you were possessed, Jad, every time you came out of the possession, you did something key that saved the operation.
There was it was very difficult. Not very difficult. It was tricky for me to think of ways not only to progress the group into the plot, but at the same time undermine every single action that was happening. At the lighthouse, I was trying to make it so that way I fucked up the rest of the materials. There was no way we can get back into getting more firearms because they were all wet. Because I made sure to not latch I didn't latch the box when I put it back down the well.
Yeah.
I had a spare incendiary grenade that I had DM'd Charlie for, where I was just like, cool, I'm gonna fire this off, or I'm gonna use this on the group if they get too close to the goat. Because at that point in time, it's like the lake has possessed me. I understand that much. But I also am still trying to move forward as an operator.
Yeah, because you firing the flare gun off in the longhouse made that fight possible for us. And then you actually missing the sorceress with the flare gun caused the crowd to go crazy, which allowed us to get to the bell and stop it. So, even though you were possessed, I think that you were key to us succeeding in this operation.
Broken clock is right twice a day.
Let's talk about the possession mechanic, I guess, too, because there's a mechanic to it that only Jad was privy to. So he had a bond with the lake that every once in a while, the lake bond would go up.
Oh, I forgot that no one else knew about that.
Nope. Yeah, so, and Jad did a great job of playing this, actually. It was kind of, as the bond went up, he got more and more invested in making sure, he's not supposed to be just kind of totally on board from the jump. The lake helps, obviously, kind of thing, and it's kind of steering him some, but you don't start off immediately working against your best interests. It's a slow kind of corrupting thing, and I guess let's talk about this. Let's talk about the Pact versus the Wassail in some ways, because they are different. The Wassail just kind of has the GM saying stuff like, why would you be suspicious of that? You don't really see anything, and it's throwing some -10s and -20s around when you're doing things it doesn't want you to do type of thing. The Pact, which you can make with the lake, is much more aggressive and harder to expel. And Epicac obviously does not work on it. So it's I'm not sure why. I always think people are going to figure this one out, but the actual way of dealing with the Wassail that I have written down, and also for the specifically for the Pact, is you have to electrocute the person.
Okay, that makes sense now that I think about it, because if it's like a living organism inside you, How are you going to? Yeah, okay, that makes sense in my head.
Yeah, it's you basically have to shock the thing off of your brain and spinal column, and that kills it. It obviously does damage to you. Like, I'm trying to remember what the situation was. I had a group figure it out where they were like, well, what if we try like electroshock therapy? And I'm like, yeah, you can try that. There's not exactly a way to do that easily on the island. I think they want to be using like jumper cables and some wet rags or something, which do not do that in real life. But yeah, that was kind of how they solved it in that case. And that managed to work. And that one results in you like leaking and vomiting out weird gray liquid out of your ears and nose and mouth and eyes.
Yeah, so I guess the Epicac worked because it had happened so early.
Well, so, and the wassail is more of like you've been poisoned with this thing. It takes a couple days for it to infect your system. But yeah, the Epicac works when you're drinking the wassail. The Pact, because it's like it goes directly into your body and kind of wraps around your brain because it's coming straight from the source. It's a more instantaneous infection.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, and I guess one of the things that kind of I think you sort of investigated, but never went into the detail of it. The wassail comes from there's a little pump station on the small island that makes that sound you were investigating at one point. That's where they're getting the wassail from. They're literally pumping out muck from the bottom of the sinkhole and then serving it to people because it's, again, I'm not totally sure if I think it's like an ectoplasm or the blood of this thing, but like it's coming from the thing in the sinkhole that they're talking to. A lot of the Black Goat stuff revolves around noxious liquids that do strange not liquid things.
With the pump, I kind of figured, and in my brain, I was like, all right, that's not important at the moment. Because I think there was like something like it was definitely more so like we need to figure out this lighthouse situation. I think though that the hilarity of the transition of lover into ice and gaining mental disorders has just really led Sanguine into doing whatever the fuck he was just doing. He was just not a well person. At the end of it, I would have picked up 4 brand new mental disorders. Had everything listed out too.
So and here's the best part. If Sanguine had survived the op, the pact isn't broken. The bond doesn't go away.
Oh yeah, I figured.
Yeah. You still have that thing in the back of your brain trying to compel you to do stuff.
But now at that point in time, it knows things.
Oh yeah, no. It's always fun for me to engage in some of the kind of weirder mechanics of this thing where it's like, hey, no, this thing's a real threat. It will destroy your memories. It's very good at manipulating you. And Sanguine's arguably the perfect pawn where it's like, oh, you have lots of specialized knowledge. It'd be a shame if something happened to that.
So what happened to Shrekky Yoder?
Oh yeah, that asshole.
I've been waiting for someone to ask about Shecky for a while.
Shecky Yoder, not Shrekky. Okay.
Shecky Yoder, yeah. I've been waiting for someone to ask about Shrekky Yoder all this time. Figured he'd be like the first fucking question. Shecky did what a normal person would do. There was an explosion and he ran.
You know what?
That's understandable.
Fair. That's okay. Contextually, that makes sense.
I like how we were pissed and we're legitimately waiting for a response. He's like, no, he did what every normal person would do and just take off. And we're like, you know what? Understandable. My bad. Have a good day.
So you're an old fisherman who's kind of indebted to this weird set of families. Shecky's a relatively normal guy in the setting. Like, you can get into his history and talk to him. He's just kind of a sad failure of an individual who's like, yeah, I wound up here because I'm good with boats and stuff like that. And it's not a terrible place to live, I guess. But yeah, like, so from his perspective, he's given 2 strangers a lift to an island. There's an explosion. He's not totally sure he's supposed to be there. He's like, oh, fuck, I'm leaving.
I mean, I do the same.
Yeah, if you were an old fisherman and you just took 2 people to an island, there was an explosion, you'd be like, well, I bet they're dead and someone else will care about this. I'm leaving. Good day, gents.
That's fine. I forgive Shecky now.
Yeah, it's one of those things where kind of like, it's this like, why'd he leave? There was an explosion. Would you, if you had a boat and could get away from the explosion, would you stay around?
Okay, and so in that regards, is the bubble like the overarching like magic?
Yeah. So one of the things you can get into if you kind of delving into the history and look up like, so, and I was kind of excited for this. We didn't want to get into it because we just went a different path with this. Alex's character is arguably the most effective type of character you can bring to this operation, because there's a ton of research you can get into that basically boils down to like, it's some like pre-Viking ass Norse paganism that's basically created this like perfect island that's kind of not stuck in time, but like resisting the influence of the outside world. And it's doing that because like, yeah, the ritual doesn't go through every year, but the thing still gets its sacrifice, so it's still kind of like keeping the island going, and it's drawing fish, and it's keeping the weather from being too bad. But like, yeah, it's very much working on kind of the will of people of the island. They're like, yeah, we want to kind of keep this thing going, despite the fact that if we let like internet reliably be here, everyone would leave instantaneously, because it'd be like, well, this place actually sucks by comparison. Like, you could also dig into the fact that like the people that live there are weirdly happy for the most part. Like, they feel like there's an addiction that when they leave you start getting into it, something to kind of run it down. When people leave the island, a lot of them eventually come back because being there is addictive. Like, if you're born there, leaving the island is incredibly hard because you have to actually break you have to basically detox as you leave, and most people don't do it. They don't know what's going on. But like, part of the reason the like Christmas event they throw is so successful is the people that survive think it's this amazing party and are like, hell yeah, I'm coming back, because they've been addicted to it, basically. Like, the idea is that kind of it's going to draw more and more people in, so when we finally get the ritual to work, it'll have the best sacrifice possible. And part of that's like, hey, it's a little bubble of perfectness.
You know, I fully bought into the whole vacation town. I just thought that people thought it was quaint, and I was not someone who could judge a slower lifestyle.
No, at the same time, though, too, like, hey, it's this really fun, authentic, like interesting, cheap to go to holiday thing that's a fun tradition. It's like, it's not necessarily like aggressively like one thing or another. It's just a fun, kind of cool party. I think we both know a fuck ton of people that are like in their like 20s to 50s that would like, if they could go to this fun little island party that's this fun kind of twist on holiday stuff, they would go to that because it's fun and it's hipster appealing and it's neat. And it's like, oh, it's the old world type of stuff. Like, it's traditional Christmas. It's the old things. We burn evergreen trees and like have all that fun stuff going on. It's more authentic. It's sold as an experience. Yeah, a part of it's actually modeled off of do people know what a German Christmas village is? Or Christmas market? I'm not sure I'm getting the right name for it.
That sounds like a dirty sex thing.
It's not. It's these little fun, and I've always wanted to go to one, actually. They are these kind of little pop-up, I think they're called markets or shops or something. Like, it's basically like in towns, they throw these little parties where like they have a night market that's just nothing but like drinks and food and kind of like holiday consumables that's only there for a couple nights. It's kind of like I want to call it a circus, but it's not. Just it's a little kind of pop-up like food festival almost. And I'm like, okay, yeah, let's take this idea and kind of run with it, where it's like, okay, you're trying to disguise a horrible human sacrifice ritual underneath this. How would that look? Get them drunk. Make them think it's fun. Have a couple people vanish every year.
That poor sheriff.
Yeah.
You know, I too have lied on my resume and felt the sting of the reality of work. So I can empathize, sympathize.
I mean, on paper, he's qualified for the job. The issue is that, like, that wasn't the job.
I mean, he probably would have been fine if I didn't drag him so deep into what we were doing. Yeah.
On one hand, I was pretty thankful for that, because it was like, okay, I won't have to play out an elongated, here's reading up to speed on stuff, when probably Jad's character bought it early or something like that. But it was fun. It's always fun having an NPC character that's like, gets what's going on, but it's also like, so you're blowing up shit, you're committing arson, and you're the good guys?
Oh yeah, that cover up has to be a fucking nightmare, because legitimately there was just outsiders who came by, murdered some people, and then dipped.
I guess slight spoilers for something down the line. The answer is something real bad happened to that island. You fucked up a ritual mid-ritual.
Oh. the consequences of our actions is coming to bite us.
Yeah, the ritual got halfway charged up, too, for what it's worth.
We had to make it interesting.
Yeah. Zero complaints or criticism on that one. Just, yeah, perhaps the fate of the island will be revealed sometime down the line, an offhanded piece of dialogue I throw out. But, yeah, no, I think I hinted at it slightly at the end, but, like, the fact that, like, basically everyone goes zombie and rushes the boats.
Oh, I thought people were just panicking. I didn't realize they were, like, zombie.
Panicking, zombie, people are herds, they react badly. You know the old phrase, one person's smart, people not so smart. So imagine you have a bunch of revelers hopped up on some eldritch goop that's been mixed with alcohol. They are accidentally participating in a ritual. The ritual goes bad. The ritual involves them kind of just like tripping the fuck out and feeling awesome. What do you think happens when that gets shut off all of a sudden and that energy goes haywire? Food for thought.
You know, I thought that when we had a fumble on the driving roll, somebody was going to drive off the island by accident.
I thought about it. I've been too cruel.
Swim checks at -20.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the roll logs right now. I'm trying to figure out where in the world it was where I failed. I honestly, I got so excited when I like fumbled or like failed my navigation and got so lost, and suddenly the lake bond decided to activate because it was like, all right, cool. As a player, this becomes insanely interesting. Character wise, oh no, this is the worst thing that could have happened.
I was guessing you were going to do something different in that moment too when you got to kind of the fork in the road. My money was on you were going to be like, okay, cool, I'll stay with the sheriff because I'm compromised. I'll go out in the boat with him so I'll be far away, kill the sheriff and leave the guys on the island at that point.
That's a really great plan. And I don't know, like, I don't think I was able, like, as a player to think about, like, oh, hey, this is the depths of my self-preservation.
Yeah. I think I'm saying when it's a selfish enough character to do that.
I think maybe if the lake bond had grown even more.
Yeah, fair.
But nonetheless, to have this experience of becoming a sleeper agent, basically, it really, really kind of made me rethink the approach to playing a character for deltagreen. And just now thinking of just like, all right, what is the core essentials for this operation to succeed? How can I skew that in a way that in a way that is interesting ultimately?
Yeah. Oh no, and I guess like the dark secret of the operation, it's possible to kill all the people involved, burn the goat, stop the ritual. But if the book is still there, and the book does not burn easy for what it's worth, they just pick back up and start doing it all over again. Yeah, the book would have survived the fire at the artist's compound if it had been left there.
The book's still with us, right?
The book is with you, or it's with Alex's character at least.
The book is being studied, if I recall correctly.
I'm going to get you to sign that book, Alex. Get you to do it.
It was all bad news. I knew it.
Do it.
It's your turn to become an operation.
Fine, I'll sign it at some point.
Sign the book, Alex. Get the pad. Do it.
I thought the booby trap was not going to be so simple as a grenade in a hole. For whatever reason, I really thought you were gonna sever the hands of my surgeon.
Chad. It's not. It doesn't satisfy my goal of getting one of you to chop off another player's hands if I just do it guillotine style with a booby trap. That's not fun for me.
We'll get there one day.
Oh yeah.
We almost did. Didn't it almost happen with Love?
Oh yeah, no. That's what
it's almost happened a couple of times now. We just kind of pull it back last minute before we get to the last resort moment.
I mean, if I chopped off your hands after you got infected, they'd have grown back eventually, but that's a separate topic. Yeah, that thing, if you survive the op with that thing in you, some interesting stuff starts happening eventually. Especially if you become the only remaining cult member that thing has left. Gets real aggressive at preserving you.
Man, I could have been such a cool ass op.
I was just going to say that it was interesting playing a deltagreen agent that wasn't like strictly a bad person with Spark. I mean, she's not a good person, but unlike Florence and the others I've played, she's not like unabashedly kind of terrible. Because, you know, with Florence, she used people that were close to her in her life, like they were like bonds to be burnt in the wind to keep her sanity.
The very meta play of deltagreen, yes.
But Spark's not really like that. I mean, she didn't really want to end up having to kill anyone there, but you know, Colt's got to die.
I think you all kind of subconsciously picked up on this, but especially Dylan. Telling who's in the cult is actually incredibly hard. I have a little mechanic running in the background where I know who's definitely in the cult, but like there's an infinite number of people that can or cannot be in the cult type of thing. And some interaction space for me rolling a dice in the background being like, are they in the cult or not? They are not. Cool. Because it's not the entire island. It's basically, you have to be born there to be in it. But like, yeah, all the people that came to like, the gas station lady, she's not in it. But like the lady at the, that works reception at the place where Rebecca was staying, she can be. And she's very different if she is. It's less, I guess, less helpful. I like how there's a version of this where Thomas isn't in the cult. He's just like, man, it's so great this island is prospering, despite the fact that I have no idea what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, I'm imagining this op as like a T-cell operation, and in that version of the op, everyone on the island dies.
Yep. I have played this op where people started poisoning the wassail supplies at the big party.
How many times have you run this op?
I think this was the 4th time. I've run a condensed version a couple times, though, too. Like, there's a version of this that's very kind of critical path. Go, 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 go. Yeah, I guess kind of the more freeform version. This was the 4th. I think 6 or 7 times in total, if I include the kind of like very, not hand-holdy, but very much like, I want to get this done in a session. Let's really signpost some of these clues, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. And typically those ones people engage with kind of the rest of the stuff a lot less, or less of the stuff a lot less, but also it's like, hey, I want to research this book. Cool. Give me a check. Here's what you learn. Let's not roleplay this at all type of thing. Yeah, I run this very differently for us than I do. I run deltagreen differently for us than I do just when I'm kind of doing a pickup group, because it's like, yeah, no, it's not fair to expect a group to A, have the dynamic, but B, also kind of like want to engage at the depth I want to, where it's like, let's have a long conversation with the sheriff. I want the sheriff's guns. Give me a persuasion. You persuade the sheriff to give you his guns. What do you say to him? As opposed to, let's have a conversation. If you persuade me as the person, I'll say yes. But if you don't quite persuade me as a person, I'm going to make you roll a check now. People have favorite moments from the op. I know what my favorite one is.
I do have a pretty good one.
There's a chance your and mine is the same.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Which one would that be?
Go ahead, Charlie.
Oh, I love Saga's murderous rampage.
Oh, yeah. I think the rolling the crit in a really shitty situation and getting to literally run my thumbs through someone's eye sockets was pretty fucking legendary.
Yeah, I think of that as one sequence where you do that, then you choke that dude out like super agent style or something. Like, I'm just picturing like Saga, who's this big, like, scholarly dude, just like caked in blood, ponytail, like flowing behind him, like he has to wipe the blood off his glasses as like across this like cult bell, Spark is just like sawing some dude's head off with a garrote, just like equally caked in blood for totally different reasons, and it's just a manic like moment.
I forgot about the garrote. Holy shit, what a reminder. Yeah, that whole last half of that campaign was just bloody.
Yeah, I'd expect that dude's head to pop off like a zit.
That is courtesy of the fact that Dylan rolled very well on the strength table, and one of the things people don't know about garrotes, you can totally cut someone's head off with them.
Well, not only did I roll a crit, but it was a crit at my score level too. It was literally the highest I could roll on a strength check.
Yeah, no, one of the bro science shows I used to like watching on TV when I was younger, they figured out how much force you'd actually have to apply to saw through someone's kind of neck and neck bone and kind of all the stuff there with a garrote wire. And they were like, this is like, you can't accidentally do this, but like if you had them like pulling against a chair or something, if you like stuck up behind them in a car and got the wire on and then pulled against the chair, you're probably going to cut through their neck. with not that much difficulty, especially because one of the things people don't talk about in the process of corroding someone, you saw your hands back and forth slightly.
Yeah. I don't know if it's clear, but in various games that I play, I love garrote mechanics because they're weird and always a little like finicky but thematic.
Yeah. One of those fun weapons that like you don't see. It's like as a person who lives a normal life, you would never see, but like in a movie or a game like this, you're like, hell yeah, I want to piano wire that person.
In college, as part of the beginning ceramics course, you get a small wire.
Yep.
Between two just wooden pegs. It's made to cut clay.
Yep.
But it's straight up garrote. Yep. And in my brain, I was just like, this is a weapon. This is something that I could use to like harm somebody. Why is this just in my beginner's toolkit?
Well, your teacher's looking for who the next natural assassin will train is going to be.
Yeah. They were out there scouting deltagreen agents.
Oh man, I was just too busy getting high in the kiln yard. Gosh dang.
I mean, like criticizing that's like, hey, this woodworking class exists, and it's just full of weapons in there.
True.
Like, not to belabor this point, but like, chef school exists. Chef school teaches you knife skills, impressive knife skills.
That is true. My favorite moment was the art colony.
Yeah.
Just because the series of just very weirdly timed events just happened all in a row. Did not realize that you had to set the longhouse on fire. That was a nice thing. What caught me off guard was it Annalise?
Alina,
sorry. What completely caught me off guard was Alina getting crossbow arrowed in the face into the dirt. And
yeah.
And the fact that like we didn't really check to see if there was anybody else in the village. So all I can think about was like all these crunchy people just saw us just crossbow bolt this lady into the ground through her head with no context.
Yeah.
And
there were some fun dice rolls from a GM perspective where it's like, oh shit, I get to describe this in the most disturbing way possible. Hell yes.
And then pick up said lady and throw her into a burning building and then run away.
Yeah. I think I love that sequence too because it's very whimsical and weird, and it ends with just like a insane rapid escalation of violence where it's like, oh shit, that got dark quick. Also, Alex, congrats on surviving a death curse.
Oh yeah, that was pretty neat. That's part of the reason I was like, I'll take this book for later.
Yeah. You survived having the withering cast on you, actually, in that moment. Holy crap, did everyone get the withering cast on them at least once in this operation?
Not Dylan. I got
no,
twice.
Alina tried to touch him at one point, or touch Spark at one point. So yeah, I think everyone technically got the withering cast on them. She just never, it only hit Sanguine.
Well, there you go. Yeah. I got hit with it twice.
Fair, yeah. Oh, and this is a note from my wife who has to listen to us play every once in a while. The fact that we just had a character that was walking around called Dr. Blood amused her to no fucking end. I'm not sure I picked up on that till she mentioned it.
It was medical related and it's S.
Makes a lot of sense in hindsight.
I was like, you know what's even funnier if it was medical related, but like archaic medicine. So of course I would use one of the four humors.
It's the dumbest moment for me possible because someone who's played a lot of Vampire the Masquerade, I know sanguine wine is blood wine, or at least wine that it looks like blood type of thing. My brain never put two and two together that sanguine means blood. All right, so I'm assuming, Alex, yours is the eyeball busting.
Yeah, I mean, that whole sequence was pretty legit, and I have to say, and I'm very happy with that. The crossbow is a close second, but I think the fact that I just pure hand, just pure strength of shoving my thumbs through someone's eyeballs and just literally one-shotting them felt really good.
You got a favorite moment or sequence, Dylan?
Yes. It was Sanguine's slow death in the pit.
Ah, yes. The turn to dust moment, or just kind of the elongated thing?
The one that you gained 1 sand from?
Forgot about that.
There were so many weird moments that Spark gained sanity during this operation.
Is Spark more sane at the end of this op than she was at the start of this op?
Yes, by like 4
Hell
points.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
But yeah, I like Jad, your like voice acting, like drowning in this like sludge was on point. It was all fantastic.
Thank you. I thought that was going to be it. I really thought that was going to be it. I didn't realize I was going to end up getting baptized by the fucking wassail.
I mean, like, we haven't talked about this yet. Like, you only live because you asked for it.
Oh, yeah, my final words, which was a One Piece reference.
I should have killed you.
You got there in the end.
It's true. I do like to play with my food. That's fair. Withering during the whole ritual, way better death than the lake thing getting you.
So you really had me plan to just kick it, but then because the fact that I yelled, I want to live, and then got eaten up, you're just like, oh, perfect opportunity.
So to be fair, in my notes for this thing, it basically says like, this thing's intelligent. It's made a pact with an entire town type of thing. Like, it gets humans enough to communicate with them and shit like that. And like, it's not human enough to ask you a question, but like, it's meal begging for its life. It's smart enough to go, oh, hey, possible new follower.
That's rad. That's cool.
Oh, yeah, I guess, again, like a thing you could have gotten into if you've done a bunch of research and stuff like that. You can find a bunch of myths about what that thing is and like how it had to be like lured to the lake and like had to find its way there from, quote, the old country.
I'm going to imagine this is like if we broke into the mayor's house.
Yeah, there's a library and stuff like that too you could dig into.
There was a library?
There's stuff you can explore on this one. Like, it's possible to dig into the history of this place, and it's like weird. Like, it's one of those ones where it's like, hey, why did the sinkhole appear? Well, there was a mass sacrifice actually to draw the thing here ultimately. We had to light a beacon.
Are we going to play these characters again at some point?
I mean, those that survived are still part of S-Cell, so they'll definitely still be around.
Because I am very interested to see what it will be like to have a semi-spellcaster in the party for a little while.
To be fair, Saga hasn't learned anything, and no pact has been made.
That'll change.
At some point, I will definitely end up signing the book.
Oh, yeah. Your thirst for knowledge and anthropologist's glory is too great.
The successful Dr. Faustus.
You'll be the next person to cast Wither on Jad.
Oh, no. Oops, all withers.
Oh, God, that would be such a cruel thing to do, and I might do it. I love the idea of, like, because Saga's, like, a hesitant signer of the book and stuff like that, I could fucking give him Wither, but, like, have it be unpredictable.
Yeah.
Oh, like wild magic? Or
no,
something
like
that?
Like, you don't have total control about when you do and don't cast it. So, like, you could be helping another player up from the ground or something, and I could make you roll a POW check, and if you failed, you cast Wither.
Oh, that would be really evil.
That would be interesting.
That would be evil. Put it in my lore. I'm signing the book right now.
In the Delta Green game, the campaign that I ran, one of the players got a lot of unnatural and picked up Wither as a ritual and tried to cast it on like a not high level, but a very experienced wizard, and rolled the d20 and rolled 1. So the wizard cast it back on him and rolled the 20 and killed him instantly.
Oh, geez.
I have had something force the Wither back into an agent.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, they got an artifact that, as long as they were holding it, let them cast Wither basically automatically anything they touched, and they tried it on something, and the thing said, I don't think so, and forced the Wither back into the individual.
Holy shit.
I like Wither. It's a fun, nice and versatile. I probably overuse it some because it's definitely like, there are other spells in the handler book. It's definitely the one I look at and go, this has the most like in-action applications. A bunch of these are useful where it's like, oh yeah, I said they were doing this. You watch them doing it, do you need to watch them using remote viewing to know they can remote view? Like, what does that look like? Their eyes start glowing? Wearing weird sunglasses because they go cross-eyed during it? Any other questions about this operation you want answered, or thoughts or whatever?
I think all my questions are exhausted.
Remember, this was a Christmas operation, god damn it, or a holiday one or whatever.
I can't think of anything.
Yeah. No, this is, as far as negative modifier operations go, it feels weird calling it a fun, upbeat one where it ended in a blood orgy, basically. But, like, as far as our stuff, yeah, it's kind of upbeat and kind of, like, normal and, like, hey, we did the thing, and there were minimal complications and ramifications to it. Only a few people died, maybe, sort of, who knows. Yeah, as I said at the start of this, we are recording this in April, but this should have, in theory, gone up sometime during the holiday season, so we do hope you enjoyed the holidays or are enjoying the holidays, and I do apologize for the lack of content at the start of this year. This was it. This is what was going on that was distracting us from all that or taking up all our time. Sorry about that one.
Very sorry. The cleanup just took a very long time for us to get you the redacted version.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just gotta be 2 goddamn sessions. I should know better.
You really should.
I really should by now. That's half the fun of it, though, too. But on that, yeah, as always, thank you for listening. Thank you to our Patreon supporters. I'm sure this one definitely explains some questions from way back when at this point. Thank you for supporting the show. Thank you for listening, all of that stuff. And yeah, hope you continue to enjoy Negative Modifier.
Thank you as always for listening.
Indeed.
Yes, thank you.
On behalf of all of us at Negative Modifier, thank you for listening, and we do hope you enjoyed this episode. If you are not already a subscriber, please consider becoming one, partially so you do not miss our next episode, but mostly because it helps new listeners find us. In addition to that, if you liked the episode, please consider clicking the thumbs up button below. If you'd like to further support the show, please consider joining us on Discord or becoming a Patreon patron.